Hello, here's Anders. This is my very first podcast. After spending 12 years in the industry, I thought I'd give a second chance to some R&D work I was doing during my PhD in German Aerospace Agency. During 2014, 13, 14, it was very hot to have, there were first papers discovered about low energy nuclear reaction, first measurements being made in a Swedish university about how is it possible, how it works, and there are very promising results coming out of the inputs of energy being smaller than the output. So for those who don't know about LENR, it's low energy nuclear reaction. It's something that originated as Fleischmann and Pons in 1989. However, those two scientists, despite the Nobel Prize and despite working on that multiple years, were discredited within a weeks for various, I guess, political reasons. So it has been a taboo topic working on cold fusion slash low energy nuclear reaction. And I did believe in that topic in 2014. I did my first attempt. There was a DLR Visions project. Thanks for support on that. 8K for various topics, and I did a little bit on LENR. I was not successful. So, however, in Europe, there is a new conference called IWAHLM, IWAHL 17, which took place in Bergamo in March. I visited that, and it was very exciting to see that there are so many scientists actually working on that. The ecosystem has grown. There are commercial companies working on that, which sounded very exciting. So what I decided to do was try to repeat the experiment I did 12 years ago, and a little bit twisted nuance of some Indian paper. I can show which one is this one. So it's upper bound in the fusion products and transportation enhancement in hours. So what it does is very basic actually thing. It just hooks into the this electrolysis with a high voltage, 60 volts in this case, and they take one graphene electrode as a cathode, and then as anode, they take either copper or nickel. And what they see is all the alloy. And what they see is that after 1 week of high voltage electrolysis, medium voltage, so it's about 60 volts. High voltage would be about 600 volts when you see the plasma actually in the process. So with a 60-volt electrolysis run for 1 week, they measured element transportation. What they didn't do is checking the heat production. So if there is low energy nuclear reaction happening, if there's transplantations happening, that results in energy being released. So what one would expect that energy, if one would measure amount of energy spent versus how much heat is generated, one would measure bigger heat than energy consumed. So these colorimetry tests are very expensive and complicated, I consider. So, whereas from the scientific perspective is, according to classical physics, it's not possible to have a tabletop fusion. Like you need millions degrees of Celsius and millions of bars of pressure to get to the level of compression you need to create fusion. On the other side, there is these low energy nuclear reaction who claims it's different. My inspiration in 2013-14 was the book, the 50-page manuscript by Edmund Storms, The Student's Guide on Cold Fusion. That's very simply outlined in very simple terms and was very inspiring. So I that time decided to replicate that, the contact cold discharge electrolysis. So you basically apply something very uh, high voltage, like about 600 volts, and then you immerse the electrode in the water, and then you see that it develops plasma around the anode. And in 2014, I did the EDX analysis, SMX analysis, SEM analysis, and the result was we didn't find any elements transmuted. This time I'm doing a little bit different experiment, so 60 volts copper graphene, graphites, um, and lower voltage. Yeah, hopefully this succeeds. So currently I have just done the setup. It's running. It has been running for about 1 day. So in France it is a Bastel day. So it's a holiday. So I'll show my setup a little bit. I have there is the variac variable voltage, variable AC power supply. Then here is the uh, voltage quarter power. So it's just basic diodes in a series. The input is coming, then going through the voltage, and here in the big capacitors. The capacitors are rated for 450 volts each with 60 microfarads. And so here's the solution. You see it currently is black. It's white because it's with graphite. So initially water was white, then it takes like 3-4 hours, it becomes black. And let's see how it continues. Previously, if I do, for example, copper with nickel, it will stay transparent. The electrolyte is very simple calcium carbonate. It's laboratory grade. It's 99.5% clean. So a little bit of this being added in demineralized water, and then it becomes conductive, and it has as little as possible traces. So even if I find a gold, which is not possible, but other materials, then so copper, graphite, and so gallium is from the alpha. Beyond those three elements, of course, oxygen, hydrogen inside, then it would mean that there has been happening a transmutation. So, ja, gespannt, I would say in German. Excited to see how it will go. In general, when I have here 122 volts there, I'm having something like 90 volts on the about 90 volts on a voltmeter. Um, at at this point at the exit, about 90 volts. Means in general it never manages to charge actually to 44 times of the input because the resistance is quite low. So there is a natural 50 hertz fluctuations inside. So it's not exactly how the paper by Kumar told it, but let's try to replicate it this way and see if I have any result. Yep. I think that's all for today. Just a quick start saying that I find it interesting that area in our community has developed science and business, commercial, a little bit R&D as well by the Horizon Europe Clean Home project. That the big players have started adding attention to it, like Google, like DAPA-E. And yeah, hopefully, this gives a new way for the Europe to gain energy independence and support and facilitate Europe's industrial base. Uh, yeah, for those who are not so familiar with LNR and the nuclear, so basically, if you can prove that the transmutations happen, means tabletop fusion is possible, means you can make, of course, bigger reactors. You need to do a lot of R&D to understand how it happens, how to improve the process, but you can make bigger reactors that create energy, the heat, in a simpler way than uranium. So with the uranium plants, always the problem is about radiation. So for example, in Germany, they closed down all the uranium plants because they are afraid of radioactivity. So on other side, this fusion is more controllable and can switch it on and off, and it's not radioactive. So yeah, there are other companies who have more money. They actually measure the radioactivity and tell that there is none. And if you consider there is radioactive, then you are already saying and proving that alien exists because according to the classical physics, that would not be possible. And that's it for today. Wishing you one great Bastille Day in France. Bye bye.